Good afternoon, everybody. This is Bonnie Vandermeulen, Training Coordinator for Wisconsin Facets. On behalf of our entire Wisconsin Facet staff, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. Today, our webinar is entitled Utilizing Visual Resumes to Increase Employment Outcomes. Our presenter for today's webinar is Brian Kenny. Brian is the Southern Regional Coordinator for the Transition Improvement Grant at CESA 3. He graduated from Marquette University with a BA in Psychology and Criminal Justice. He also received a BA in Social Work from Upper Iowa University, followed by a master's degree in education from UW-Stevens Point. He completed 12 years of military service in the Wisconsin Air National Guard, the United States Air Force Reserves, and the Wisconsin Army National Guard. He is certified as a cross-categorical teacher, grades 6 through 12. Brian taught special education for 14 years and is currently part of the Transition Improvement Grant team as the Southern Region Coordinator, working with CESAs 2 and 3. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you Brian Kenny. Brian?
Thanks, Bonnie. Again, my name is Brian Kenny. I'm one of the coordinators with the Transition Improvement Grant, and I'm super excited to be talking about a subject that's really near and dear to me. I really thoroughly enjoy sharing information with school districts about visual resumes. They can be a really important tool for students to really maneuver themselves in a position to be good candidates for employment as they work towards their transition journey and exiting high school, both college and career ready. Just a couple notes. All you'll have to do is just click on the link and take you right to the same place that I'm actually in right now. There's no need for you to set up any accounts or go through any unnecessary steps. You simply just click on the resource directory. You'll see it. It's Padlet.com with a whole bunch of other information after that. And then anytime we update this resource directory with new visual resume products or revise any of this information in here, you'll always have it at your fingertips. The second thing that I would like to stress is please ask questions. Bonnie will monitor the chat, and we'll stop periodically to answer any questions that you may have. I will show some things and move around this Padlet pretty frequently, so bear with me. I don't typically use a PowerPoint for this because there's so many hands-on things within the Padlet that I can show you. That will be most helpful. So the first thing I want to show you is kind of a tool that we created. It'll take a second to get it up on my screen. Anytime school districts have a visual resume that they create that they want to share with us, we just encourage them to make sure they follow proper procedures to get releases of information, so-called permission slip. This allows us to share somebody's visual resume, and we're always looking for new products so that we can showcase new visual resumes. School districts really learn best, and parents and students learn best by seeing other people's stories and getting inspired by those. So that's probably the most important thing for me to share with you today is the why of visual resumes and how you plan to really use a visual resume as a tool, whether you're helping students build a visual resume or maybe you yourself want to try this out. So we created a planning to implement visual resumes form. It's just a really simple document that you can you can use to help students kind of plan ahead. So it obviously has, since it's a visual resume, you're going to end up having a lot of photos and videos. So you can keep track of those images that you really want to use. And we always suggest up to 10 photos. And the photo that you share first that somebody encounters right away should be a really good headshot. So you can keep track of those images. You know, who's your team of individuals or folks that's going to be supporting you in your project to build a visual resume. And probably one of the most important things is the action words that are going to go along with your photos. So for each photo, you can jot down some of the action words, and I'll show you a really good example of a visual resume that has a perfect placement of both pictures and action words that really, when you combine a good photo with good action words, you can really wow an employer. And then some of your next steps and reflection, maybe you get a visual resume completed, you really like it, and you find some feedback that you get from people you show it to, and you can always come back and make necessary changes or adapt it. And questions that you might have, like some burning questions, some aha moments, and then any resources that you could use, something you may have learned, who you can contact for more information. You can always send an email to myself or one of the other transition improvement grant staff. I'll show you our contact page at the end of the webinar. All of us are really well versed on the utilization of visual resumes. So that's a really nice planning tool, very simple to use. One of the things that we really try to let people know is that a visual resume can be a combination of things. It can be a PowerPoint, a simple PowerPoint presentation with maybe a video trailer. We always suggest that people limit themselves to about 1 minute in duration. Most employers, as they're looking at visual resumes, you know, they're going to give a good 1 minute of time to see somebody's visual product. We like to encourage people to use combinations of different things, so I'll show you some examples here shortly. So we have a couple different things that we like to talk about with visual resumes. One is using a presentation platform. So here I have listed in the column where I'm hovering my mouse, these are all of our presentation platforms. So this would be the manner in which you're going to present your visual resume, assuming that you're going to use you know, a standard presentation media, whether that be a PowerPoint presentation. There's some really good ones that I can show you here. This is a student named Alex. He created his visual resume using PowerPoint, and he does a really nice job of using good graphics. He obviously went to Chippewa Falls School District, so he has the little cardinal up here in the corner, and he lists out some of his jobs that he did, his vocational experiences. I won't show you all of this, but this just gives you a little snapshot. It's an 11-page presentation. You can see he's got some pictures in here of him doing some cleaning tasks, showing some of his skills, some similar photos. Notice how they're all action shots. Here's the little different job outside the, you know, using the vacuum. He's folding towels. He's really proud of what he does, and you can see that when you look at his visual resume. And this offers an alternative, or maybe even an enhancement to a paper resume. Sometimes with a paper resume, you may not capture someone's attributes or their skills, but when you use a visual resume, it really kind of adds some flavor to the skill sets that a student might already possess. So those are some options for presentations. The thing that I really like a lot, and this is something that school districts really are pretty fortunate to have access to, a lot of different web tools. Probably the most logical one for schools is using a Google site. So I'll show you one, probably one of my favorite ones. This is a student named Ethan. He's much older now. This is a little bit older. This is a Google site. You can see that Ethan basically puts in a lot of information here. He's got a little introduction, some of his work experience in the left-hand corner, his extracurricular involvement, which to some employers, this shows that you're really dedicated. So they want to see some of that, and he's got some nice pictures here of two of his passions, athletics, and he's really into FFA, and you're going to see that when I show you his video trailer that he makes. You'll see his passions come out in that. So anytime the school district has access to Gmail, which many of our school districts do, you automatically have the capacity to build a Google site. So students can build their own web page. They can make it very simple. Ethan's is a pretty simple website, nothing real complicated. And the nice thing about a Google site is, as long as you have access to that Gmail, you can edit the site. So he does a really nice job. If I go back to his homepage, you can see he's embedded a YouTube video in here, and this is his visual resume. I have it up on the screen, so I'm gonna play it for you. And while I play it, I want to see if people can go into the chat and just type in some of their reactions to the video that I'm going to share. Like maybe just a word or a couple words that made you really like Ethan's video resume. This way we can have an interactive webinar. So I'll go ahead and play it. It's about 1 minute and 5 seconds long. So one of the things that I really like about Ethan's video resume is the intensity of the music that he picked. He really picked some really good music that went along with the intensity of what he's passionate about. And
Yeah,
if
Brian.
anybody,
Yeah,
yeah,
we had a little trouble hearing the music, so I don't know if everybody did, but I had a little difficulty here at this point, and I didn't get any comments from people in the chat at this point, but maybe it was because the music didn't come through, so maybe you can describe it to them.
so obviously when you saw his video, it became very apparent that his passion was animals and, you know, being around agriculture. He picked a really intense song that had a lot of violin and a lot of intense music. So it would really wow an audience. When you go into the Padlet at your own free will, you can navigate around in there, and it was about a minute in duration, and it had some really good pictures of him collaborating with people in the school district and with some of the people that he was doing volunteer experiences with. And this is a pretty old video resume, but it's one of my favorites, just because it's really well done. He picked some really good pictures. And I think Ethan is probably, if he hasn't exited, he's really close. So something that we're going to do is try to find out what he's doing now, and maybe have him create another visual resume for us, since he's a little bit older now. But this was, you know, early on in his transition years. So, and then give him an interview.
Yeah,
So-
Brian, you did cut out for a minute there. If you could just repeat what you said prior to giving him an interview, we missed about a minute or so.
Oh, sorry about that. I apologize. One of the other things that I wanted to say, along with sharing the Padlet, is because we're restricted to working from home. I live out in the country, and my internet isn't the greatest, so I do apologize for that. Ethan, because he has so many skills that he captures in his visual resume, he really makes himself, puts himself in a nice position to allow an employer who takes the time to watch that is really going to be wowed by some of his skills that are commensurate with, you know, what it takes to maybe gain an entry-level position in agriculture, more so than he would if he just had his paper resume. So his is really nicely done. Hopefully, Bonnie, if I show some other examples, the sound will come through.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
So I want to show you another example of a website product. So this is Ethan. Obviously, he has a Google site where he put his video trailer. This is something similar. This is Samantha. She's a student from Menominee Falls down by Milwaukee area, and she created her own website using a product called About Me. And this is something that Menominee Falls School District is doing for all students. So it made sense for Samantha to use this as a platform versus the Google site. So really colorful. She lists some of her attributes on the main page here, and she too has a video embedded in here. And let me see if I can get her video to to play. I'm just going to click watch my video. And Bonnie, you can let me know if the sound comes through okay.
Sure. We're good.
So hopefully that sound came through a little bit better.
Yeah, I think we'll just have a little trouble, but I think that people will be able to see it when they go to the Padlet that you provided for them. And in doing so, we did get a comment that I just want to pass on to you. The person said their internet is a bit glitchy, but the visual aspect of the video of Ethan Nelson really communicated his enthusiasm in his work and what he wants to do.
Yeah, and that's the real power behind these, these visual resumes is if you can make a connection between the paper resume and the visual resume, you can really kind of position yourself to have an employer say, wow, this person's really got some attributes that are commensurate with what I might be looking for, and it might allow somebody to really get a kind of a foot in the door. So we really encourage the use of these visual resumes as a really good tool. I want to show one more. This one, what I really like is visual resumes are a great tool for any student. The visual resume that I showed about Ethan, Ethan has a more significant disability. This other one that I'm going to show is a student named Trenton. Trenton had a specific learning disability, primarily in the area of reading comprehension. And I actually got to know him pretty well. He's a student that wanted to go on for graphic arts at Southwest Technical College, and he came from a real rural area, Wazeeka, Wisconsin, which is a very small community just outside of Prairie du Chien. And he does a really, really good job of using just really good action words. So I know that the video might be a little bit difficult to hear, but when you see Trenton's video, he uses a video trailer similar to Ethan and Samantha. All three of them used a video trailer called iMovie, which is available on iOS devices, iPods, iPads, and Macs. So when you do an iMovie video trailer, you pretty much pick from different templates, and then you plug in your pictures, and then you plug in the words that you want to go with them. And once you get that done, then you have your video completed. And that's what all three of these were the same product. So I'll show you Trenton's, and then I'll explain a little bit more about the concept of the video trailer and how it really is very easy to do once you practice. So when you watch Trenton's, just pick up on the action words that he uses and see how they really line up with the pictures that he chooses. Does a really good job. So I'll go ahead and play his. I absolutely love his video resume. Just one of my favorite ones.
So I have a comment for you. Actually, it's a question and a comment.
Sure.
Some of the parents that are on have asked that this looks like something that they might have difficulty doing, and if they kind of get stuck and need help, is there someone they can contact?
Absolutely. They can contact me directly or any of our transition improvement grant staff. So this might be a good time for me to show you the contact list for our grant staff, and depending on where you're located, would dictate who you would want to contact. So this is our website. It's just going to take a second to load. And if you go to About TIG and click on Contact Us, you'll see a list of our coordinators. And then you can see their geographical location. So obviously I cover the, Dane County, the southern and the southwestern part of the state. We have another coordinator named Brenda who covers La Crosse area, Eau Claire. Lene covers the central part of Wisconsin, so she has, Oshkosh, Appleton, Stevens Point, Portage. And then we have another coordinator named Jennifer Jacobs that covers the Green Bay area, Sheboygan. Kathy Tuttle is more the northern part of the state, Wausau, Minocqua, Marinette. So between, and then Jennifer and Amanda have the kind of the Milwaukee area up to like Cedarburg, Port Washington, Grafton. So you can always email me, and I can get you what you need. In fact, if it's not already in the Padlet, I will add tutorials for the two video products that you can use, and they're very easy to use once you start using them. One is called iMovie, and the other one is called Magisto, and there's many more too. And I can maybe even do a second webinar down the road on how to make a visual resume. You can even work with your school district to try and see if, obviously during this time with, everybody being home now, if face-to-face trainings are going to be obviously impossible. But as we move back into, our normal mode, there's always the opportunity to try to do trainings with schools on, how to make visual resumes. They are really pretty cutting edge. So yeah, there's our contact list. Very easy to navigate our website. And in the visual resume, I'm just looking through here real quick to see if, yeah, we have primarily the two products that we promote are Magisto, which you can see there's a tutorial link here on how to use Magisto. That is an Android product. So that's a PC product, whereas iMovie is more of an Apple product. So anybody that has an iPhone would be able to use iMovie. Anybody that has an Android device would want to use Magisto. But there's a new product that we actually just got somebody created a visual resume using a program called Powtoon, P-A-W-T-O-O-N. And I want to show this one as well because this is a kind of a neat little product. I may have clicked the wrong one. Sorry about that. Let me go back. My apologies. I'm trying to navigate around in here. Let me.
And maybe now while you're doing that, I had one other comment. They had asked about the Padlet being emailed to them. Can you just repeat what you had said before about the link and where you placed it?
Yeah, so I placed the link right into the chat box. It was timestamped at 11:33 a.m. and you'll see it's a fairly long website, but you'll see padlet.com/jhilgendorf.
Thank you.
This Padlet. Can you hear me?
Now I can. I think you cut out for another minute there, but we'll just bear with you.
So you'll always be able to go to that Padlet and grab any of the resources at your leisure out of there. And because this is new to many or most of you in the audience, it's always difficult to kind of wrap your head around something that's new. So we definitely don't mind questions to provide technical assistance to people as they're, learning how to use something for the first time. Sometimes we just feel that these are really nice enhancements to allow kids to really capture their strengths. So this other one called Powtoon, I really like what Shiva did here. Shiva's a student up in the northern part of the state, up in Rhinelander, and I'll show it. I think it's loading. Sorry. like how she ended this. Thanks for watching. Please hire me. Bonnie, did all of that come through?
The music was a little muted, but we saw everything. And so I just want to remind everybody that they'll be able to go to the Padlet and have the opportunity to see these at their leisure.
Yeah, sorry that the video is coming through, but not the audio. You know, going back to Trenton and even Shiva's, they use some really good descriptive words to capture things that employers would value. And that's really important. So when you go think back to Trenton's, he made some comments about being self-taught. He also made a comment about being willing to embrace technology. And when an employer sees that and then sees the pictures, that's a really nice combination of things. So, Bonnie, any other questions at all from folks?
Actually, the one was you presented several different formats like iMovie, and then someone used About Me and Magesto, and I think you said Powtoon.
Powtoon.
Can you Powtoon?
Yes, Powtoon.
Okay, so the question was, if you had to choose, which format would you choose?
I honestly, because I was there when this student made this Powtoon, she had little to no help from myself or the teacher. We didn't even know about this website. The student was actually in a Google search looking through iMovie tutorials and some stuff from Magesto, and she happened to fall upon this Powtoon site, and she started playing with it, and away she went. And the key is to have really good pictures. So if you can work collaboratively with the professionals that support your sons or your daughters, whether it be the educational professionals, the teachers, or the paraprofessionals, or if it's community agencies, maybe you're working with a vendor to do some supported employment in the community. If they can take pictures, or somebody else can get some really good pictures of your son or daughter engaging in any kind of transferable work skills, that's going to be really valuable to building a good visual resume. And then once you get your visual resume done, then you can create, you know, a website platform if you wanted to. Sometimes just the movie trailer alone can be a standalone product that you can add very easily to a paper resume. And I'll walk you through how to take your paper resume and make it so that somebody who has that can scan a QR code and get your video that you've made just by clicking a QR code scanner. It's pretty amazing how that can happen. So what I could do is I'm gonna just go ahead and I'm gonna open up a blank Microsoft Word document on my screen, and I'm gonna create a QR code, which is the code that looks like a big giant fingerprint, and I'm going to add that QR code to the Microsoft Word document that I'm going to open up here, and then I'm going to make that QR code into a web tool. So just kind of bear with me. This is a really important step. So what I have here is I'm just going to kind of just imagine that I've made a resume, and I'm just going to put my name on here. And in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to add a text box. So I'm just going to draw a text box right here in the upper right-hand corner, and I'm going to use this text box to insert a QR code. And I'm going to add I'm just going to use Trenton's resume. Notice how Trenton has his resume as a YouTube video. I'm going to copy that link, and I'm going to go to a QR code generator. And we have all these directions in the Padlet, but this is a really website open. Sorry. So this allows me to create a QR code with a web address. Anytime you have a YouTube link, that's automatically a website address. So I'm going to paste that. This is Ethan's video resume link. And I'm going to go to, see the QR code right here? This is the little fingerprint thing I was talking about. That's the QR code that will allow me to get to Ethan's video. Now I'm going to download it, and then I'm going to add it as an image to my pretend resume. So there's the download. So now I can go back to this text box, and I can insert that image as a picture. I know I just downloaded it, so there it is right there. So now that's the QR code that holds the link to Ethan's video resume. And if anybody has a QR code scanner in their phone, Bonnie, do you have a QR code scanner on your phone?
I think so. Let me take a look. Yes, I do.
Okay, so Bonnie, if you go ahead and scan that QR code on the screen, you can see it. I blew it up a little bit.
Oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, it's not, mine's not working real good right now. So hang on a minute. Let's see if I can get it going.
And anybody that's on the webinar, if you have a QR code reader on your phone, you can go ahead and scan this QR code, and it'll bring you right to Ethan's video. This is what an employer would do if they had a paper resume. They would be able to scan that QR code. It's pretty slick. Maybe if somebody has any luck scanning it, they can communicate that in the chat. They can put a little yes, it worked. I'm actually going to scan it with mine, just to make sure that it read it. It worked. It took me right to his site. it's actually Trenton's resume. He was the student that I had shared with you that went into graphic design. Was anybody able to get it to work?
I haven't had any confirmations here, and mine unfortunately is not working.
If anybody has an iPhone, iPhones, I believe, have a built-in QR code reader right in the camera. I don't think Androids do, though. But this is a great way to add an enhancement to a paper resume, just by simply creating a QR code. And like I said, we have all the directions for this.
And actually, mine did come through finally, and it goes right to Trenton's resume.
Yes, so it worked.
Yep, it worked.
So I will quickly I'll go back to the Padlet real quick. And I just want to show you where we have the directions to do this. So we have two things going on here. I know this is a bit overwhelming, but that's why we really want to make sure we share the resources. Anybody that has a Gmail account, if you have a Gmail account, you automatically have a YouTube page. So you can upload video into your YouTube site, and we give you the directions to do that right here in the upper section. And then in the lower section, we give the directions to make a QR code. So it's step-by-step directions. So there's step 1, 2, 3, 4. All the things that I basically did on that Microsoft Word document right here, we put those steps into this document.
So Brian, basically a comment from one of our participants is, if you have a written resume, you can add the QR code to that written resume, and then therefore your employer, or the prospective employer, should be able to view your visual resume from that directly.
Yeah, and that's correct. And the other thing that I like to tell people is, an employer that gets this, 90% of them are going to know what this is. But there's a chance that somebody may not know. So the other thing that you could do is insert a second text box and put like something, please scan my visual resume. So I can make that stand out to give the employer some direction. Of course, you can write something else here that would lead them to want to be curious to scan this. You know, I could change the color. So some simple directions, you know, and obviously I want to make this as small as possible because I don't want this to take up all the room on my resume. So I make this really small. I put it over here in the right-hand corner, and then maybe I have some directions that I also make as equally small to kind of make it important for them to want to scan that QR code, because there's information there for them. So I can shrink this down a little bit and then just put it right right there for them to, center it, make it look really sharp. And then I can actually take the text boxes out just by going, no outline. Now it cleans it up real nice. Take away the outline, and now it's just my words. And I can always just kind of clean this up a little bit, center it. And now I have, maybe I put an arrow in there to direct them to the QR code. But this is a great enhancement to a paper resume. And we've gotten some really good feedback from the field about a lot of vendors want a lot of job coaches and job developers and people doing systematic instruction to support kids with IEPs that are, working with DVR. They're really curious about this too, because they're directly working with youth before and after graduation. So long after, educators and paraprofessionals are, in essence out of the picture when students graduate, it's really important that our community-based agencies are doing some of this work too, and they are. So that makes us really happy to know that long after high school ends, there's some really good technological things that are right at the fingertips of professionals, and kids can really wow us. I mean, this young lady named Shiva, she did this whole thing on her own. She built that video in 30 minutes. She had all of her pictures organized, which her teacher helped her do that because they knew we were coming to do a training. So they had already placed all their pictures in an accessible location, and that's important too. So if you're going to be taking pictures with an iPad or a comparable Android device, it's really important that you put those pictures somewhere where they're accessible when you go and build your video or build your website. So those are important steps too. I know this is a lot of information, and I hope that at least, maybe this is something that intrigues you, and you decide, you want to learn a little bit more about it, and that's why we put this Padlet together so that you could go exploring a little bit. Bonnie, any other?
Yeah, we have another comment from a parent that says that even for students who do not have disabilities, this would definitely show some creativity on their part to include some sort of visual resume on almost every kind of resume.
Yeah, it's most of the products that we create, we find that they benefit school districts regardless of whether or not students have an IEP. And that's really warms my heart and the hearts of our staff, because that's what we want. We want the things that special education is using to be used universally in an inclusive environment. So this benefit, exactly what that parent is saying, is that this has a direct benefit to all students. It's very similar to the self-advocacy curriculum that we created for school districts to use. It benefits students without IEPs just as much as it benefits students with. So absolutely well said. Any other questions at all, Bonnie, or any comments?
No, I don't have any other at this time, Brian.
Okay, so this is really kind of in a nutshell, the visual resume training, so to speak, that I had kind of planned for today was to take you through a little, just a tutorial, so you could see the ways to get started, the presentation platforms, places where you can house pictures and really good descriptive words, different website platforms, the About Me page, the Google site, and how to post the video, and how to make a QR code so that you can take your products once you have a website or a link, and then you could take that link and make your own QR code. And then anytime you ever make changes to a video, maybe you add in some enhancements or update some photos, you just have to create a new QR code, and then you just delete the old one. This is one of the things that I'm actually going to be doing with my children when now that they're home. I have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and we're going to make visual resumes for them and do some transferable work skills that they already do in the home, whether it be cleaning the fish tank, taking out the garbage, sweeping, cleaning the sink, the bathroom, because neither of them has a job right now, but they have skill sets that they can capture, that they could feel proud of. And I'll show them, maybe I'll have one do a Magisto and have the other one do a iMovie, so they can play around with it. And I'd like to learn more about that Pawtoon site, so maybe I'll even do that. So the more you play with it, the better you'll get, and the more confidence you'll have in how to make a finished product from start to finish. So, Bonnie, I know we're coming up to the end of our time, and I was able to get all the information out, so I feel good about it.
Good, thank you. There is just one other thing. If a parent needed to contact you, can you just again go through your contact information for them?
Yeah, and I'll put it in the chat real quick too. I'm typing it in right now.
Okay, thank you.
And then I'll just go to the contact page again. Here's my information.
Oh, that's super. And as you said, just to reiterate that portion of what you just said, especially now that kids are out of school, this might be a wonderful activity for families to do together, and especially something that they'd be able to utilize in the future.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm actually going to be getting together virtually every other week with my Beyond 18 program. So some of my school districts that do Beyond 18 programming with students, we're going to talk about visual resumes, because that's one of the things that they want to do while they aren't able to do the same things anymore in the community with their students, so they have to be creative. So yeah, ongoing support is really crucial.
Well, thank you very, very much, Brian. I know that this was very informative for me. I learned a lot today, and I'm sure that those people who are participating in the webinar today did as well. So thank you again for an excellent presentation.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So this concludes our webinar for today. We'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Please be reminded that Wisconsin Facets has over 80 scheduled trainings and webinars for the year 2020. Please check our website calendar and register for any of the upcoming trainings that may be of interest to you. And please watch for the short evaluation that will be coming your way after the live webinar today. We'd like to wish everybody a great day. And thank you again, Brian, and thank you everybody for participating. Bye now.
You're welcome. Have a good day.